So I first got into the sport with my dad. So he started training a while before me, and then when I was born, he said he wanted me to get into it. So I started training with him, and it was just something I really liked. So I just carried on.
And how old are you when you started?
So about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So
do
yeah,
you remember any of those days?
I remember one of the videos my dad keeps showing me when I was younger, hitting pads. But
what was it about it that you liked? Was it just the idea of being in the gyms and hitting things? Or?
Yeah, literally that, just hitting things. Just.
Did you have a lot of energy as a child?
Yeah, definitely.
That's a good way to try and release some energy. You know? So, do you know how old you were when you had your first competition and how you felt when you had your first?
I think I was about 7, and yeah, I was super nervous. I didn't win my first fight, but I was super nervous.
How did that make you feel losing? Were you like disheartened, didn't want to go back, or do you want to get right back in there again?
Well, to be honest, I just got right back in, but it just made me more hungry for that next win.
What was your training like at that stage? Did you used to train all the time, or was it like once a week?
Yeah, it was pretty much all the time. Still is now.
Was your dad training all the time?
Yeah, I think he was training as well when I was younger, but he stopped now.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about when you started taking the sport seriously. So at which point did you say that this is something that I really enjoy and I actually want to be good at it and I want to get somewhere with it? Do you remember having that talk with yourself, or was it just a case of taking it step by step?
It was more of a step-by-step kind of thing, but it was definitely just like winning more fights, and then I was seeing like how much better I got, and then just taking it more serious with every fight.
And is that with the same team that you're with now?
Yeah.
And what gym is that?
Muay Muay Thai is in Sheffield.
Christian DePaulo?
Yeah.
So he's been your coach since you were 4 years old, basically. Okay, so I saw that, was it 2 weeks ago or last week, you went to
WKO
championships and you won gold?
Yeah, so I had 2 categories, K1 and Thai, and I won both.
Nice. So how many fights did you have to do on the same day?
I think it was 1 in K1 and then 2 in Thai boxing.
Is that headshots?
Yeah, for both.
So you fought with headshots?
Yeah.
Before? How many times?
Since, I think every fight I've had since the last 2 years has been headshots now.
Yeah, and how is it different between the body shots?
To be honest, I didn't really notice it when I transitioned from body to head. I think it's just because all the sparring and everything I did in preparation for it made it so it didn't affect me that much.
And you get quite a few sparring and sessions in with the guys in Leeds, don't you?
Yeah.
What is it called, the gym?
Kia Fun Tip Gym.
Kia Fun Tip.
Yeah,
there's a bunch of killers in there. No, Adam Bramwell goes there. Hannah Brady. There's a mat full of killers. I was training with those guys. What's the sparring like over there?
Yeah, it's definitely tough, but it's like the best sparring I can get. So with Bad, he's older, Faizan, Issa, they're all like the best in the country or the world.
And they're all around your age and your weight as well?
Yeah.
That's nice. So, would you say that they're kind of like your training partners?
Yeah, definitely.
Your main gym is obviously the one in Sheffield. So Christian is always in your corner.
Yeah.
What's the process like of fighting abroad when you go and compete, like Turkey, for example? Because I know you did that. Was it a couple of years ago?
Yeah. So, to be honest, I prefer fighting abroad. It settles my nerves a lot more just because you're out there, you see the venue, and for like a few days in advance, whereas here you only see it on the day of your fight, and it helps me settle my nerves, to be honest. But
do you still get really nervous before the fight?
Sometimes, but if I have a talk with my dad or my coach, then afterwards I feel alright. But as soon as I step in the ring, all my nerves go. So it's a weird thing. I don't know why I'm nervous for it. My nerves just go straight away.
How do you feel the day before?
The day before, that's probably when I'm most nervous.
Really?
Like, yeah.
Because a lot of people don't get nervous until they actually are at the venue.
Nah. I think the closer I am to my fight, the less nervous I am.
You just want to get over
it.
And do you do any sort of coaching as well? Because I know since I've started coaching, I feel like I get more nervous when my guys fight rather than when I fight. I don't know if you've done anybody's corner or anything like that.
No, I've not. I've been like in the corner helping out, but I've not done like any proper cornering. But yeah, I definitely know what you mean. Yeah.
Are you doing any coaching at the moment?
No.
Is that something you want to get into eventually?
Definitely, yeah.
Because I think with your experience, just your age and your experience will be really good to give back to people, especially if you get like younger people. You know, there's like kids who are like 8, 9. They must really look up to you if they're around the gym. Obviously, you have how many belts have you won?
To be honest, I'm not sure how many belts I've won, but I'd say it's definitely
Is that many?
7.
You can't remember.
Yeah.
So 7, did you say?
Over 7 or something, yeah.
And are they world titles as well?
Just everything, world, British, tournaments, whatever it was.
So what is your biggest achievement today so far?
The biggest achievement is definitely the World Championship. So if my World Championships in Malaysia, I'd say that one was the biggest achievement because it was just like the biggest stage I could fight on.
Yeah, what was the experience like in there, like getting to that place, staying in the hotel, the
Well,
flight?
the flight was long. That was the worst bit of it, but the hotel was really nice. Everything was really nice there. And the fights came. And yeah, I got a stoppage as well in the finals in the first round.
Nice. And did you have to get there a little bit early just to get used to the time change and stuff like that?
So it was for the time change and definitely the weather because it's just so humid there. Training there is like completely different because you just can't. It feels like you can't breathe because of how hot it is.
Yeah. And now, how long were you there for?
I think it was about just under 2 weeks.
And you compete like once every couple of days, or is it one after the other?
It depends when your category. So one category might be earlier on, one category might be later on. But it just depends how many people's in your category.
So if you got more people, obviously you have to compete more.
Yeah.
And did you have a lot of people in your weight class?
I had about 3, 4. So I only had 2.
And you have to get those 3 or 4 fights out of the way within a space of like a week and a half.
Yeah.
Damn. Did you have any injuries when you were doing that?
To be honest, I don't think I've had an injury abroad.
Was that one with headshots?
Yeah.
Damn. That sounds crazy. Because I know back in the days in K1 they used to do like 3 fights on the same night. I don't know how they did it. No shin pads, none of that. Like sometimes you see the videos of them going back to the changing rooms with like bruises all over their shins. They can't even walk, but they have to go back in there and fight another killer for 3 rounds. That sounds crazy. So your next one, when you're going abroad next, is in a couple of weeks, I think. And is that in Turkey?
Yeah, it's Turkey again, but it's just a different area.
And is that for Muay Thai or is it K1?
Thai boxing.
Thai boxing. So you get to like elbow.
Yeah. So it's full rules this time. Because the last times I went, it was just headshots, but without knees and elbows. So
you wear the elbow pads, but you still could elbow to the face?
No, we weren't allowed.
Yeah.
So, and we couldn't knee to the head. But this time when I go, I can elbow and knee to the head.
Is there anybody or are there any countries in the World Championships that you kind of be wary of because they got like top level fighters?
One of them that everyone seems to worry about the most is Russia because they've got like really tough kids.
Naturally tough because of the weather over there.
And they always bring a big team as well, like 100+ fighters. So you'd probably always have someone from Russia in your cat. So it's one of the ones people worry about the most. But
that's interesting.
I've always beat Russia, so.
Because I always thought there might be like the Dutch that people wary of.
There's not many of the Dutch that come, and I've not fought a Dutch, so.
Then you're not lost to a Russian anyway, so you have nothing to worry about. And you entered one in the UK 2 weeks ago. What was that like? What was the fights like? And do you feel like it was good experience for you to take over with you to Turkey now?
Yeah, it was definitely good experience just to have a few fights. Same as a tournament.
Yeah.
Before I go away, just similar kind of thing before I go away.
So what's your goal for this year then? Because it sounds like you've been quite busy and you're keeping quite busy and you've only got like a couple of months left.
Yeah, so trying to win this World Championships and then any other fights that come after it, winning that. But
are there anybody in the UK that you really want to fight that has a belt or anything that you want to go after? Or is that the other way around, people want to fight you?
Honestly, it's like I'm trying to find fights but can't really get any. So I'm just trying to look for some fights now.
Do you think the level is different when you go abroad?
Yeah, definitely. Everyone's at a high level. It's just not just 1 or 2 people, it's just everyone is at like that top level.
Well, you gotta be at top level to get in the squad anyways.
Yeah.
So the squad training and stuff that you do, is that often? And have you made any friends? Have you made any training partners?
Yeah, definitely. So we had squad training yesterday actually, so yeah, I went to that and pretty much most of the team was there.
And who's the main coach?
Main coaches, so there's a few. There's Steve Dean, there's Tommy Collins, and there's some others that come from other gyms. So Trix from Wicked Camp comes, and then Bilal Remesi comes as well on his own.
And I know that's someone you trained with quite a bit. What do you do? Just do one-to-one?
We just do PTs. We do PTs and a bit of sparring as well.
With him?
Yeah.
Wow, he's a big guy. Oh, nice. So, how many fights have you had altogether so far, if you could remember?
I've had over 60.
Over 60 fights?
Yeah.
And at which point do you want to turn pro, I'm assuming, as soon as you're allowed?
Yeah, pretty much 18, 19, 20, about then.
Have you ever had any sparrings with the shin pads off?
No.
But you're looking forward to taking
Yeah,
them?
definitely.
Yeah, because the whole game changes when the shin pads comes off, because now all of a sudden you have to be super careful about where you're kicking, and you can't really just go all out, like you do in amateurs sometimes. You have the shin pads on, you don't really care, you just keep kicking. But you become a bit more wary of where you land, and you just have to be a bit more technical, and it's almost like target practice. Every shot that you hit, you have to make sure you're sinking it in, and they're not blocking or checking those leg kicks, because they could get really painful. So you've had 60 plus fights, and you said that obviously that's an immense amount of experience for someone your age. And at some point, if you're not already, you're gonna get out of finding fights in your weight category, because I'm assuming you're pretty much for everybody. What do you weigh now, and are there any plans for you to maybe change weights and move up and get some belts in different weight classes or anything like that?
Yeah, so I'm about 61, 62 now. The next category I'm fighting in abroad is going to be under 63.5. So I'm just trying to keep moving up my weight.
Is that why you eat those burgers after training?
Yeah. Nah, to be honest, I can eat them and not put on weight. It's kind of weird, but
yeah,
and still stay in shape.
I mean, it'll be like that for now, but when you hit your 30s and stuff, that might change. So what's your training day to day like? What do you do on a typical day of your training when you got a fight coming up?
So every day is different. So I might do different sport and at a different day. So I do wrestling as well. I do boxing as well to keep my hands sharp.
Yeah.
So Mondays and Wednesdays I'm at boxing at Sharrow, and then Tuesdays I'm mostly in Leeds. So I'll sparring at Kia Fun Tip in Leeds. That's just part of the class I just join in.
Yeah.
Or I either go to wrestling. I go to wrestling on Tuesdays or Thursdays. Fridays I go back to Leeds again and we do sparring. So sparring there's with the main lads who got a fight, because it's not a class, it's just separate.
Yeah.
So whoever's got a fight will come to that class, and then it's just training for sparring for an hour and a half, 2 hours. So that's the best sparring I get.
Are there a lot of people there to spar with as well?
No, it's just a separate class just put on for the few fighters who have got fights, yeah.
Yeah, and is there anything that you do on weekend, extra training?
On Saturdays, I either go to Wolverhampton or I'm going to Manchester or Birmingham, just somewhere else to train, or if it's to do a PT.
And why did you choose to do wrestling?
It helps my clinch work a lot. It makes me definitely a lot stronger, but it's just something I like to do.
Have you ever thought about maybe getting into MMA, or is that just not on the radar yet?
My wrestling coach always talks about joining MMA. Yeah. I definitely want to have one fight at least in MMA, see what it's like.
Because you'll have the stand-up covered already if you're doing some wrestling on the side. How long have you been doing the wrestling for?
About over a year now.
Would you say you're
you're
good at stopping takedowns at least? Because if you do that, then that's all that matters. If you could stop, if you're really good at takedown defenses. Now that'll be interesting to see you in MMA at some point. I'll be definitely tuned into that. So we spoke about your wrestling and your kickboxing, and I know obviously as you age you start fighting people who are much physically stronger, and when you hit 18 or 19 you probably have to fight people who are in their 20s or maybe late 20s, which means they have developed that manpower that you might not necessarily have at the age of 18 or 19. So it's good for you to get into training different things that just not kickboxing or Muay Thai or even wrestling, so SNC and just conditioning and strength and stuff like that. Do you have any strength and conditioning coaches, or is there something that you do in your training camp? So
I have an SNC coach, his name's Dal, and every Sunday, or if I have whatever, I try to fit him in at least once a week, but mostly on Sundays. So I do SNC with him, so it's mostly just strength work. And then as soon as we close to the fight, it's just building up my stamina for the fight.
And what does those training sessions involve?
Lots of round work, so doing a certain amount of reps and then going on to the next exercise with no break for like 5 rounds. So it's kind of like a fight.
Yeah. So you just try to replicate the things
Yeah.
that are in the fight. That's the best way to do it. So I know your diet is probably just eat what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, depending on how close you are to the fight and whatnot. What's your recovery like? Is there anything you do for recovery? Do you take any ice baths? Do you watch what time you sleep? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely watch what time I sleep in. But to be honest, I don't really have a lot of injuries. If I had a lot of injuries, then I have like massages, or I put some ice and heat, or tie or whatever it is. But that's just only if I get injured.
And you've not had any major injuries or anything like that?
No, not really, no.
Touch wood, none of that will happen. Speak about some of your techniques and training methods. Actually, before that, I want to ask you, what do you think is your favorite performances, or your best performance so far?
Probably that final I was talking about in the World Championships in Malaysia. Yeah, no, it was against someone from Malaysia. But it's just because I got the stoppage. But everything in the fight I did felt perfect. The way I landed the head kick that stopped him, that made him wobble. It just felt perfect. You know, when you throw something, it feels perfect. And yeah, after that, I just had to finish him from there.
Let's talk about your worst performance. Is there any performance that you wish you could have a go at again, or that you're not really so proud of and you feel like you've learned a lot from?
There's definitely a few, but they're all from definitely when I was younger. So I can't really remember a lot of the fights from when I was younger.
Yeah. And do you have them on videos or anything? Do you ever get to watch them back?
I have a few on videos, yeah.
And do you have anybody that kind of like plans your fight camp, or because you've done it for so long now, you just kind of know when to start, when to turn it up, and when to like wind down, ready to fight?
My dad definitely does a lot of that, but it's definitely just because I've done it so much now. It's kind of
second nature.
Yeah,
really.
But definitely my dad sorts all my training out, so I couldn't really do it without him.
It must be nice to have your dad so involved in your sporting career, because obviously he's done it before and he's the reason why you started, so he understands the game. How does it feel to have a dad that's so supportive?
It feels good, to be honest, because like honestly I couldn't get to training without him a lot of the time, so I definitely need him to be able to get where I'm at.
Yeah, because you don't have a car yet, but I know you play a lot of games. Is that what you do to just wind down, just play video games? Yeah, the simulator.
Racing sim, yeah.
Nice. So what's your favorite technique? What do you think your favorite technique is? Or your favorite punch or kick to throw?
Probably a jump knee, because that's what I'm called, tiger knee. Yeah, in my fight everyone shouts tiger knee. I have to jump a knee. Yeah. Is
it the right knee or the scissor knee?
Any. I just have to jump a knee.
What's the ultimate goal for you in Thai boxing?
I'd have to say trying to make a living out of this. Just like having a career, so like joining one championships or something. Or to be honest, just anything where I can fight as a living.
And do you have like a amateur goal? Because I know Muay Thai is in the Olympics now.
Yeah.
And you're basically in the British squad, aren't you? So that kind of like, it's almost like you're in a path.
Yeah, I'm just trying to work up towards it, yeah.
Have you had any talks with anybody about that?
Not really, it's just trying to keep winning all these tournaments I'm going to, the IFMAs. And then hopefully that'll lead to the Olympics and I'll do the same there.
And that is a goal that you want to do. You want to get into the Olympics and then turn pro. Because I think a lot of people rush turning pro. They don't really have an amateur career, but you've already got like a good amount of fights as a headshot. How many headshot fights have you had?
I think it's been like around 10.
10 headshot. That's decent.
Yeah, over the last 2 years. Yeah. So yeah.
And do you have like a goal of how many fights you want to have in a year? Or is it a case of anything that comes up, you just jump in there?
Just anything that can get, I'll take.
And is it Christian that does your matchmaking?
Yeah, Chris, my dad, and whoever can,
So, are there anything that you do to increase your knowledge in the sport? So, obviously you have your coaches that are still coaching you and teaching you stuff, but is there anything that you do in your own time? So, do you study fights? Do you study fighters? Or do you just do some reading or anything like that to learn about the sport some more and increase your knowledge?
Yeah, definitely when I'm watching fights I see like lots of little things. But most of the stuff I try to do in sparring. So I think it doesn't matter what I do on the pads or stuff. I think if I can try to do it in sparring, that's like the most beneficial for me.
Yeah.
So if I see like if I'm having a like a problem with like a southpaw or something, and then I'll watch a video, then I'll try do it in sparring and see if it works, and try and improve myself that way.
And when you do sparring with these guys in Leeds, because I think some of them are really experienced, do they ever sit down and have conversations with you and give you pointers? And is it like a learning process even when you spar? It's not just a case of going in there, sparring and getting out. Do you have that sense of community in there, like as if like they're also your teammates, because you train with them quite a bit, don't you?
Yeah, he definitely teaches us. So the trainer there, John Pop, he definitely gives out pointers and stuff when we're sparring. But even the more experienced children and even the adults, they'll say like if you made a mistake or something, they'll pick up on it, like let you know.
Who was the most experienced guy then?
The most experienced, I'd probably say, is Bad. Yeah.
Who is he?
He's one of the fighters there. So he's 18 or 19. He's about my weight, but I spar with him all the time I can get.
Is that like your main sparring partner?
Yeah.
Nice. Is he an amateur or a pro?
Still amateur, I think. I'm not really sure, to be honest.
Favorite thing about Thai boxing?
My favourite thing about Thai boxing is probably the respect you get out of it, because a lot of people respect you just for doing it. But there's definitely a lot of things I could also say about that.
And what are people like when you're in school? Are the teachers all aware?
Yeah, all the teachers know, so they'll always ask me about it. They'll always ask me when my next fight. So
do you get any privileges, like maybe leaving a bit early if you got a fight coming up?
Yeah, I do. So on Tuesdays, if I'm going to Leeds or something, I get to leave like half an hour early.
Nice. So they made those little adjustments for you. Oh, that's good. And how are the kids treating you when you're in school?
Just, they definitely know our fights, so they won't mess with me, but yeah, just the same as the rest, yeah.
Yeah, nice. What school do you go to?
Mercia.
Okay, I've not heard anything bad about them, so it must be a good school.
They're a bit strict, but it's a good school.
That's good. You need a strict school. You need a strict school where you could actually go there and learn, because sometimes when the kids are missing about too much, you just distract you from everything. Are there any other sports that you do outside of Thai boxing? Because obviously you're so involved in it, you might not really have time to do anything else.
The only other thing I really do is wrestling and boxing, but that's all contributes to my Thai boxing as well.
But what's your favourite sport outside of that? Is there anything that you like?
Probably football.
You don't get to play that, though?
No, not really. Only at school and stuff. But
let me rephrase it. What's your favourite food to eat after your fight?
Anything, to be honest. Just because when you fight, you don't really get to eat properly that day, just because you're waiting there at the venue and stuff.
Yeah.
So definitely say a fat cheeky burger after.
But
or Nando's, or just anything nice, to be honest, or Nakbars.
So, okay, what's your favorite place to visit? Because I know you've been to quite a few places, especially for your fighting. Are there any places that you want to visit that you've not been to?
What do you mean by that? Just
to visit, maybe go out there to train or even compete, or just to visit and see the.
Definitely Thailand then, because I've not been, and obviously a lot of people, all the Thai boxers have been. And I really want to go, so hopefully next year, in summer holidays, we get to go.
Is that, you want to do that with a team, or do you want to go with your dad?
Probably with my dad, yeah.
That'd be nice. And do you want to go train out there? Are there any other gyms out there that you want to...
No, just any gym, to be honest. I don't have one in mind, but we'll look for one close to the time.
Sounds good. That'll be a really good experience. I have not been to Thailand, but that's also on my radar.
Definitely want to fight out there as well. With no shin pads, that would be a good experience there as well. Yeah,
make the most of it. You have to, if you train out there, you have to have a fight out there. Soak up the atmosphere, must be unreal. What do you prefer more, punching or kicking?
Punching, I'd say, because when you see the head fling back, to keep going and walk forward.
That's the best one. What's your favourite movie of all time?
Favourite movie, I've got a few, but the older ones like Terminator, the ones with Sylvester Stallone, and Arnold,
all the hard guys movies. Terminator 2 is great. That's probably one of the best movies of all time. What's your favourite animal?
Probably cats.
Cats?
Yeah.
That surprises me. I thought you were going to say a tiger or something.
Yeah, well, I've called tiger news, obviously tigers as well. But
that's already, they're all part of the cat family.
Yeah.
Do you have a cat?
Yeah, his name's Rocky.
Rocky?
Yeah,
nice.
From the films, yeah.
How long have you had the Rocky for?
About 6 months now.
Oh, nice.
Probably less.
Nice. Who's your favorite athlete of all time? It could also be a fighter.
Probably just Ronaldo, because he's one of the ones who works the hardest, I'd say.
So you like his dedication
Yeah.
to the sport? Do you think he's better than Messi?
Yeah, of course.
I agree with it. Okay, there's one last question from me. If you had to give any pointers or advice to anybody coming up to the sport, I asked this to everyone, but it'll be good to get like different answers from different people. What advice would you give to someone who's trying to get into sports or martial arts in general?
Just honestly, just stick at it, because a lot of people stop and then they start again, and you'll take long breaks or just quit. But I'd say definitely just keep training and don't stop.
That's a very good, straightforward advice, Ali.